What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm actually setting up the 75 gallon, unlike in last video where I just kind of talked about it. And by the way, if you haven't watched last video, go check it out so that way you kind of get the gist of what tank it replaced, you know, what tank I got rid of in place of it, and kind of my thought process of getting that tank, and also a few other things that happened because some stuff happened. So this video is going to be a little bit different compared to some of my other tank setup videos, just because I've already got most of the scape already done. I've already got the sand in there, got it nice and smoothed out, got the 3 pieces of driftwood in there. Just got to add the plants, get it filled up, and get everything kind of going. But as I'm setting it up, I'm not going to make this like a big montage how I would normally do it in my other tank setup videos. Just kind of you know, talk you guys through the process and whatnot, and kind of my thought process of what I want to do with this tank and the whole setup of it, I guess. Obviously this is a 75 gallon. I went with all-purpose sand. I know I said I was going to do play sand, but they were actually out. This is really similar to it though. I've got this in one of my ponds outside. Yes, you can put this in the tank with fish. You just got to wash this stuff really good, and even when I fill this thing up, it's still going to be really murky for a day or two. The big difference in this is it's a little bit darker than play sand, and it does have little bitty tiny rocks. If you can see that in the sand, see them little bitty, it's like even smaller than pea gravel, so really small. I don't really mind it at all. I actually am planning on adding some big rocks to this tank. I'm just kind of getting the main gist of the scape done today. Like, this is not going to be the final scape of the tank when I get done with it tonight. I'm actually going to probably add and tweak some things here and there as it goes. You know, anytime that I set up a tank, I try to get a good idea of what I want to do with it, try to get kind of a vision of how I want the tank to look. But it always, every single time looks a little bit different whenever you actually get it in the tank and get it all nice and filled up. So I'll probably end up changing some things in the next few days or so and kind of get the tank just how I want it. Now as for the light, this is a Nicrew Generation 2 LED, and you can see it is bright. And I don't even have this thing cranked up all the way. The Generation 2 lights, they actually have it to where you can adjust, if I can grab this, you can actually adjust your whites right there. I've got it toned down to, I think, like level 3 or something like that, and you can also adjust your blues. You got a timer right there. There's an 8-hour if it'll focus. Anyways, you have an 8-hour, a 10-hour, and a 12-hour, and then obviously that's just your on and off button. You got your night light right there. You hold down on it and it goes completely off. So pretty neat light, in all honesty. I've also got this artificial log that's honestly pretty realistic looking. There's kind of a gap right here between this driftwood, and I'm going to kind of just place it right there for now. And I'm thinking about doing kind of a rock outline scape similar to how I have it over here in the African cichlid tank. I've kind of outlined the mangrove roots. I want to do something similar to that. By the way, that guy right there is going to be one of the fish going into the 75 gallon a little bit later on. And then I talked about these plants in particular in the last video. These are 20-inch tall artificial plants. Obviously they're not real. I would have went with real plants. I would have went with live plants. That's what I do a whole lot of anyway. The only problem is a lot of the fish that I'm going to be putting in here are not going to allow it. They're actually going to eat a lot of the plants. So later on down the road though, a few months later, if I wanted to really do live plants in here, because it would look 10 times better, I think, I could obviously just get rid of those fish and add the live plants in here. And I think that the sand would be more primed at that point anyway. It would have more nutrients in it, and the plants would like it a whole lot better. But for now, we're going to roll with the artificial just to have some color in here. And I'm going to put these big 20 inchers back here in the back. And I went with 3 25-pound bags of that sand, so I've got a nice layer of this sand. And when we get this thing all filled up, this plant is going to be pretty darn close to the surface of the tank, so it's going to look really nice back there. Got another one right here. I'm going to set it on this side of the tank, and there we go. And this, I've got 2 of these. I've had these for a while. These came out of the bow front tank where those pieces of driftwood came out as well. This is actually the same exact plant style, just a shorter version, and this one's a lot older. You can tell how dark it is compared to those in there. So these being a little bit shorter, I'm probably going to add these in more towards the middle. And we'll add that one right back there. And that is pretty much it as far as the plants. I actually do have a few short plants that we'll put out here in the front part, kind of like that. I might add a few more of these. Just going to set this one right here for now. And like I said, I'm probably going to end up changing this part of the scape, you know, once I get it all nice and filled up, once I figure out where exactly I want stuff, I'm just trying to get stuff in here right now and get it filled up and actually get the tank going. Set this one right over there, and there we go. Time to fill it up. Alright, I think it will stay just like that, hopefully. So I've got it sitting inside of that log right there, and that way it's not actually pushing the water directly into the sand. So this way, hopefully, it will not be quite as cloudy when it starts to fill up. You can see, I mean, you can see the bottom of it, so that's a good sign. As far as filtration goes, I went with a Fluval 407. This is the largest of their 07 series, and I have a 307 on my flower horns tank that I've had now for a good over a year now, and it has done a really, really good job on that tank. I've only cleaned it once. That's what I love about canister filters, is they're so dang quiet. Such a good filter, and you don't have to clean them nowhere near as much as you do your hang on the back. So also, I've got two hang on the back filter cartridges right here. These came out of a Emperor 400 that was actually on the African cichlid tank, this tank right here, and went out a few weeks ago. So I got another 350 to replace it. And actually that 350 over there that used to be in that spot went out about a month before that one. So both of these 350s are pretty darn new. But I saved the filters that came out of the 400 so I could have some good media for this filter right here. So we'll kind of give the tank a good kickstart, and I'm also going to add some stability in the tank and kind of dose that every day for a week. Next size up from this in the Fluval series is a FX4, which is their bigger version of their canister filters, and then you have an FX6. And if I was going to do more fish than I'm planning on doing, I would have went with the FX4, but I'm not really planning on, you know, heavily stocking this tank. We're going to have some decent sized fish in it, but I don't plan to have just, you know, just it slapped full of fish. If I was going to do that and really feed it, you know, feed really heavily, then I probably would have went with the FX4, but just the 407 for now, and it should do just fine of a job on this tank. And like I said, this is going to be a South American tank. You know, the theme of the tank, kind of the scape of it, is kind of tying into the, you know, a South American scape, and also the fish is going to be nothing but South American fish. At least that's what I plan on doing, and pretty much half the fish that I plan to put it in, I've already got. I obviously showed you guys the banded leporinas that I'm going to put in there. I've also got two blue acaras, two red spot severums, a little spotted leporinas that will eventually go into it, but I don't think he's quite big enough right now to hang with the big banded leporinas. And then I'm also going to be adding my Buenos Aires tetras in there. Those will probably be the first fish I add in here. I'm going to let the tank kind of get up and go and let it get crystal clear, and then probably in a few days I'll probably go and add a few of those tetras, and that'll kind of give us some ammonia in that tank for the bacteria to eat on, and then we'll kind of get our cycle really going. So I do plan to add more than the amount of Buenos Aires tetras I have right now, so we'll get a nice school of them. And then there's also another schooling fish that I want to add in here that I've kept in the past before that you don't see or hear about quite as much as you do with some other barbs and tetras, and that is the filamentosa barb. And actually, if you go far enough back on my channel, you can actually find where I was keeping these fish, and they turn into a really, really pretty fish when they get some size on them. So that's another schooling fish I plan to have in there. So we'll have the Buenos Aires and the filamentosa barbs as the schooling fish, and then the larger fish will not be in the acaras, the severums, the leporinas. And of course, I will be getting two new electric blue jack Dempseys. If you guys did not watch the last video, there's another reason to go and watch it. Go and figure out what happened with that. And as for something on the bottom, I think I want to go with clown loaches. I think that would be a really, really good bottom feeder in this tank. I think they would fit the theme of the tank really, really well. And I think, you know, they would get really good size in that tank as well. So that's pretty much it. It ended up totaling out to be, you know, somewhere probably just under 20 fish, which in my opinion in a 75 gallon where not all the fish are huge, you know, some of them are not really, really big. That's not that much, in my opinion. You know, you do consistent water changes, you don't overfeed. That's not a crazy amount of fish in a 75-gallon tank. So, look at that. It is getting on up there, and it's, like I said, it's not that cloudy. I thought it would be a whole lot cloudier than this, but in all honesty, I wanted to leave this tank more open. I didn't want to have, you know, it just cluttered full of, you know, structures, and I guess some people will call this cluttered, and I know some people are going to want me to add more structure in here, and the only thing, like I said, I'm probably going to end up changing is maybe the look a little bit, and maybe adding in some rocks as an outline, and that's pretty much it. So now that we got it all full, now comes the fun part, or maybe not so fun part. We got to set up the filter. And as much as I prefer canister filters over hang on the backs, they are certainly nowhere near as easy to set up as hang on the back is. So it can be a little complicated if you're not used to them. Alright, we Look at that. So pretty much it's the same thing as the 307, the 207, the 107. It's just this is the larger version of the 4. So we got some tubing. We got our clips that will go on the back of the tank. We got our little nozzle that go in the tank, suck water out. That will go in the filter. We'll have an intake and an outtake. That is our outtake nozzle that will be in the tank, pushing water into the tank. And then just some suction cups. So let's get to it. So basically what the inside of these filters looks like is you have different compartments. There's some sponges in here. I guess that's what they would call their phosphate pad right there. And then it looks like a little carbon pack right there. Then you have this tray that pulls out, and you have 3 individual little chambers right here. So you got some more carbon packs. Let's see what they have in this one. Now they kind of change it up a little bit. There's some media in there where a lot of your bacteria forms. Then you got some sponges right here. And that's pretty much it. Alright, there you go. You really have 4 compartments right there. I said 3, but it's really 4. And then you just slide it back on in there. And I'm actually going to take this out, and that's where I'm going to put those hang on the back filter cartridges right in there, and I'll just kind of have this as a backup. If I can fit any of that in there, I will. Let's see how these fit. They may not even fit. Oh, they sure do. They fit perfectly. Alright, so this little piece is going to slide on here just like that. Going to clamp it down, and there we go. Make sure that's locked on there. And now we just got to get our tubing and get it going. So they give you one big piece of tubing, but you have to cut it into 2 pieces just like that, and one's for your intake, one's for your outtake. Alright, so I'm going to get this bad boy I'll put underneath here and get our tubing on here. So just like that, and just like that. And you just got to make sure that this thing is completely tightened on here. Alright, so I got my outtake nozzle right here. I'm going to hook it up to the hose just like that. And then this is going to sit just like that. And you have this piece. It's actually one piece out of the box. You just got to pick them apart. It's going to sit just like that. Took me a minute to get it on there. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky because you have to bend that hose just right. But just like that. And we're going to do the outtake the same exact way. Got the little piece. Just get it on there like that. And this one does not have its own suction cup to hold it down because it doesn't go way down in the water like the intake does, but this little bracket goes on same exact way. Get it on there, so you just kind of have to bend that hose just right, and then that will sit on the inside. Oh, I got the background back here like that, and you just clamp it on there, and that's pretty much it. So now that we got the intake and outtake on the tank, now we just got to get it going. And just like that, we got it going. It's a pretty simple process. Basically, you just got to pull this lever down. Once you pull it down, then you just kind of start priming it up and down. Give it a couple of minutes or so. It'll start blowing out a bunch of bubbles out of the outtake nozzle, and then you have that. So I'm going to adjust this just a little bit so it's not so loud, and yeah, that's a whole lot better. And even with the water this cloudy, you can see how much flow this thing puts out. So I'll kind of play with it, get it just right. It's still not completely going just yet, even though it's pushing water. You'll notice every few seconds it'll blow out a bunch of bubbles just like that. So it takes it a good little while to actually get really, really primed and going. But once it does, man, this is a really, really good filter. And you can't hear nothing. Just got to get these glass covers on here now. Got one for each side. Add the little handle, try to get it as even as possible, and well, that's not so even, but it'll work. Add the other side, add the light back, and that's pretty much it, guys. So I will add the heater a little bit later on. This room out here stays pretty darn warm, and I don't have any fish in it right now anyway, so it doesn't really even matter. But that's it for now. I'm going to give this thing a good day or two to clear up. Judging by how clear it already is, I know this looks really, really cloudy, but I was actually expecting it to be a whole lot cloudier with that sand in there. But judging by how it is right now, this thing's probably going to be crystal clear in about 24 hours. So I will check back in with you guys then. And just like that, the tank is clear. Now obviously it's not crystal clear just yet, but it looks a whole lot better, and one way you can tell just how cloudy a tank really is by looking through the side of it, and you can still see it's got some haziness to it. But give it a few more days and it should look even better than it does right now. Now, on first impressions, when I saw this morning, after it had really cleared up, obviously it looks different now. I'm alright with this for now, but I'm definitely going to be putting live plants in this. Every single one of my tanks, except for my flower horn and my bow front tank, all have live plants, and I'm different kinds, so definitely going to be putting live plants in there. Just going to have to kind of take the risk on and seeing if some of the fish I add in there are going to eat them or not. We'll just kind of have to see. I've got 5 really good sized crypts that I want to put out here in the front, and I can probably, they're big enough to where I can go from about that piece of driftwood all the way over here, kind of spacing them out. And it wouldn't make sense not to do any kind of Amazon swords in here, so I'll probably have Amazon swords in the back, probably about 4 of them. I've got some small ones that are babies off of the really big one I have in the 800-gallon pond, so we'll try to raise those up in here. Now, I'm not going to do this right now. This is just what I'm talking about doing. I just bought these plants, and I actually think these look really, really nice. I mean, look at that. They go from the bottom all the way up to the top, so this is not bad at all. This was just kind of, you know, to get the tank up and running. I just needed to get the tank kind of going, get it cycled, so that way we can start adding fish. We can always add plants later on. But this is definitely not how the tank is going to look long term. I'm probably going to swap these artificial plants out for live plants here in the next couple of months. But I am going to give it a little while, give it at least a month with the artificial plants, and kind of for sure decide on exactly how I want to scape it with the plants. And I think either today or tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and add the Buenos Aires tetras in the tank, and that'll just kind of be the test fish in the tank, kind of get something in there, get something ammonia producing, and I'm going to be dosing the tank every single day with stability. Already seeded the filter as you guys saw earlier, so it should be totally fine. And then I'll probably wait about a week or so, keep a check on the ammonia, see wherever it's at, and if it's still good, then I'll slowly start to add more and more. Now, I haven't decided as far as all the fish that I have right now that are going to be going into the tank. I haven't decided as far as what order they're going in the tank, besides the Buenos Aires going in there first. Obviously, that guy right there, the big banded leporinus, is going to be going in here, and he's actually going to be the largest fish in the tank, probably long term as well. And then I've got these guys over here, the 2 red spot severums, and the 2 blue acaras that are going to be going in there as well. So I don't know if I'm going to add 4 of those at the same time. I do think I am going to add the leporinus in there last, just because with the leporinus, they can be really hit or miss on how they act. Now, mine has been pretty laid back. He doesn't bother anybody, but you never really know. Like, if I went ahead and put him in there right now, and he's the first fish in there, or one of the first few fish, he could establish some kind of weird dominance even in a bigger tank like that. So I think he'll be the last fish that goes into the tank that I have right now. So I'll still add more fish after him. There's still some fish I want to get for the tank. But as far as all the fish I have right now that are going to be going into that tank, the leporinus is going to be the last one. So now it's just a matter of kind of letting it cycle and, you know, slowly adding fish. And I'll be giving you guys updates on the tank and kind of letting you know what fish are going to be going into the tank next. And when I do plan to add the most fish at once, I'll make a video on that. There'll probably be in between videos me adding a couple fish here and there, and then just kind of slowly getting it to where I want it. Well, that's going to pretty much do it for now. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the tank. Let me know any suggestions you have for the tank, you know, live plant wise, or maybe change it the scape a little bit. I think I might add some rocks, as I mentioned earlier, kind of to outline the driftwood, or to make it look a little more appealing. But other than that, I'm not going to change too much, at least right now for the next couple of months. Just going to kind of let it ride like that, let it get nice and cycled, and then kind of go from there as far as what live plants I want to put in the tank and where they're going. Drop a like on the video if you guys did enjoy. Hit the subscribe button if you guys are new to the channel. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.